Hi, everyone. It's Marianne Goldweber, owner of a Village Personal and Spiritual Development Center, coming to you live from my video podcast called Marianne's House. We're going to wait for everybody to get on here. Hi, Marty. Thanks for joining me tonight. We're going to wait for everybody to get on here. Hi, Claire. Thank you. I was feeling cozy in here tonight, so I just wanted to, invite you into the peaceful place tonight. I'm looking forward to our time together. Do you guys have a good day? There's a little bit of an astrological shift last night that kind of took the wind out of everybody's sails. And so I wanted to just get on here and inspire us all. You know, this video podcast inspires me as much as it inspires you, just so you know. I also put up my tree. I have my little Charlie Brown Christmas tree over here. I got the lights on it, but I didn't get the decorations on it yet. But you know, one step at a time. I got a lot done in the last 30 days here. Can't wait to see all of you in person. Well, many of you. So we have so many people that are from out of town that follow us live and, through the events that I do that are virtual. You know, I do sessions virtually as well. So it's a wonderful way to stay connected and, in this up and down topsy-turvy world that we're living in right now. So we're all trying to establish this new normal. And, and I'm not different. I'm trying to figure it out too. So let's stay inspired together because that's what we do. Keep each other inspired. So let's see who's here tonight. Hey Dolores, how you feeling? Better, I hope. Hi Debbie. And Ralph and Debbie. Hi guys. Hey Laura. I can even do a little channeling tonight. I just wanted to get us inspired and tell you about the new things that I've been working on. If you guys have any questions or comments or things you want to share, go ahead and put those in the notes and we'll read them as we go. This is a interesting time of year. It seems like I always start over during this shift between autumn and winter, and it's challenging to start new things as things are going into hibernation, you know. So of course I'm backwards. Of course I am. I'm doing things opposite the world, and I just wanted to keep you guys posted on some of the things I've been working on. So I did a little updating to the website. So if you go to my website, which is mariannegoldweber.com, I do have classes posted there. They're all on Zoom. Now you can register for them and come in person if you'd like. Like I said, I just have protocols when it comes to being fully vaccinated and boosted at this point because, I can't put you, me, or anyone else that I interact with in risk for COVID. With all the breakthrough cases, even with our vaccinated, all of us vaccinated folks, we got to be really uh, cautious of how we affect other people. So, anyway, so I do have in person sessions available, but they're limited. But you can stay connected and get to see everybody when we work in a group virtually, like on Zoom. So it's a fun interaction. Then when we do get together, you guys get to meet all the people that you've met online over the last 2 years. So people like Ralph and Dolores and all these people that are part of our village that are regulars that you'll get to meet. So that's why I like the virtual thing. So I worked on the class schedule as well. So there are classes out there, and the two classes, I think there's two or three that I've booked. That one is the dream interpretation class, which is just so much fun. Our dreaming is going to be getting very weird late in the next month or two, because this is a time of hibernation. It's a time of going within, and it's a time of reflecting on where we've been over the last year. I also am booking a public channeling event um, on Monday, December 27th, because we all have relatives in town and our ancestors. You want something to do with all your friends and family. They're coming in from out of town. So after the holiday, on Monday, December 27th, I'm going to be doing a public channeling event on Zoom. And I'm going to limit it to like 20 people. And so I'm going to be putting that out there in the next few days so you guys can see that. But if you go to my website, I'm going to be updating that regularly and posting those events there as well. So if you go to mariannegoldweber.com, you'll get to see the events. There's also a public calendar, a Google Calendar on there. I'm going to put the link in there so that you can subscribe to it. So every time I add a class to this event, a class to the calendar, excuse me, whew, as I add things to the calendar, then you'll get a notification that I've added something new. The classes rotate every month. So the dream interpretation class happens, I think it's on like the third Sunday of every month. I'm also going to start putting these up during the week, okay, because we have a lot of people working from home who just want to grab a class or have a much more flexible schedule. So I'm going to be starting to put some of these classes available during the week as well, during the day, for those of us that work from home, so that we can get a little inspiration and do that. And just so you guys know, when I'm done with these live feeds, I actually do upload them to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. And so if you get anything out of this and you just want to drop a couple bucks in the hat, there's a donate button on my website. There's one on the YouTube channel. And that way you can watch these and be inspired by the different topics that I talk about monthly. Or weekly, excuse me. I keep saying monthly. It's weekly. I do this weekly. You think I'd know. So anyway, so that's kind of what we're up to. I'm trying to put some things in the physical world that we can get inspired by and talk about, when it talks about fear or reinventing ourselves or evolving. We're in uncharted territory, folks. We're all awakening, and we all need inspiration. We all need to stay connected to people that are forward moving, forward thinking, leaders. So I'm doing a lot of work on leadership, teaching people how to take their pain, turn it into their purpose. What is your purpose? We're being groomed for that. So all of these classes are tools to put in your toolbox so that you have, going forward, the arsenal of information, so you're not relying on me to tell you what to do, or the other side, or the universe. So once you have the tools and you understand how it works, life goes a lot smoother. Life gets more peaceful. But we have to kind of peel off all these things that we've learned, or these things that we've created that were really lesser than. And so once we clear the road and we clear the foundation to start building that life that you really want. So, making sense of all the experiences that we've had is the work I do. So when you have a session with me one on one, it's not just me tapping into that stage crew that's always trying to help us. It's giving it a voice so that you can hear it clearly exactly what the message is. And then once you understand how they communicate and how they're actively helping in your life, then you're going to feel more confident that, there is a divine thing at work here, that everything has purpose. No matter what we're experiencing, good, bad, or otherwise, there's purpose in it. And it's not just for us, it's sometimes for the people that we're meeting, the people we're interacting with. And, we're all out here doing God's work. It's just that I'm doing it where I'm at and meeting certain people. You're doing it at your job or whatever, wherever you are out in the world. And we're all being emissaries of that light, okay? And that's really what a village is we fill up by being together so that we can all go out into that world and be those emissaries of light. But like I told you guys before, bright lights bring big bugs, okay? Not everybody wants to wake up. Not everybody wants to evolve. Not everybody wants to see you succeed. And that's okay because we're not going to give those people in those situations energy. We're just going to keep, planting those seeds and moving on and being our best version out there in the world. So again, we have to kind of look at where we've been in order to, really kind of prepare for where we're going. So that's what I do. And when you have a one-on-one session with me, that's what we do is we create a game plan. And it's empowering to have your own tools and not have to rely on other people for your answers or your what your game plan is, because frankly your mission is a secret mission between you and that divine. You said, hey, I'm coming here and I'm going to be having these experiences, and we all forget the mission. And as we start to awaken, that's what I do is I help people. I hand them a map, I hand them a compass, I point them in the right direction, I give them encouragement and kind of send them on their way. That's my job. And so coming on here live with you guys has saved my life, honestly. This last 2 years has been very difficult for all of us. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people have had to learn to work from home. They've had to, be on the fast track of this technology and all of these things, having to learn all these new things. And trust me, guys, if I can do this, you can do it. And I'm just so proud of watching all of you guys evolve. And again, if we don't evolve, if we're not willing to change, then it will go extinct. Change is constant, and I want you guys good at change and excited about change, not afraid of it or in fear of it. Because, you know, if once you get good with change, nothing can scare you, nothing, and once you have faith, there's nothing to fear, you know? So, yep, that's what we're doing tonight. New year, new you. That's what we're talking about. We got a new year coming. After the last 2 years and all the things that we've experienced, what have we learned from that? What have we gleaned from all of that, all of those experiences that we've had? Whether it's personally, our families, our society, our world. We're all being asked to step up. And who better the people to step up than people who are warriors, people who've survived things. That isn't designed to take us down. That's designed to make us great and to make us leaders in not only our own lives, but in the world. And I know so many of you that have answered that call, like myself, who are leaders out in our communities, who are, you know, helping people wake up, helping them, find their uh, passion, find their light, find their, feet, helping them up, and so that they can become, productive and successful. And, that's stuff like Dolores does. Just so you guys know, Dolores is one of those folks, and I can out a bunch of you, okay, on these things. But, in the days to come, we're going to be getting together and we're going to be having these kind of circles where we're going to videotape, video those so that you can be inspired by not only me, but other leaders, other powerful men, powerful women, powerful people in this world that are really change agents, that are really working for the big guy and, and taking on that challenge, that mission. So, yeah, I want to introduce you to these folks. And like I said, we've been so separate for so long that we're all waking up and getting together now, and I'm so excited. So I've got this beautiful space. See, look, see my space? Here's my TV with my fire going on. And that's what we're doing. So, yeah, we're getting together and we're going to be filling each other up so that we can all go back out in that world and do what it is we came here to do. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So let's see who we got with us tonight. Ah, let's see. I left off at Dolores. Hope you're feeling better, friend. By the way, Denise and Debbie Howard, Laura, Kristen. Kristen's here. Hey, Kristen, my new neighbor. She actually doesn't live far from me. I think that's Kristen. I'm inspired by hibernation. Wonder, wonder is this a Pisces thing? Yes, yes, Dolores, that is a Pisces thing. Yeah, we can't I just had this conversation with Mary Kay today. So we can't really figure out where we're going till we look at where we've been. What did we learn from that? It's like you don't want to go around the same block. What did we learn about going that way? Let's go another way. Let's find a new route. But we have to look at where we've been in order to figure out where we're going. And so most people are afraid to look back. This is why we're having a problem with our world awakening. People want to go back to sleep. They want to go back to the old days. Well, guess what? The old days weren't all that. Okay? And our world is evolving. Actually, we're coming together. This is something that's been prophesied. We've been separate for too long. And so, again, coming into this fifth world of peace is about inclusion. It's about coming together because we've had so many forces dividing us that we need to come together and be a unified collective of taking care of each other. We're all the same. We're out here trying to bring the world together, and there's these forces that have been in control for a long time that don't want that to happen. Because if we start talking to each other, we're going to find out the problem is them. Okay? And so that's the problem is people are awakening to that. And again, when you're waking up, there's a grief process with that. There's denial, there's anger, there's sadness, there's surrender, there's acceptance. And I think after this last 2 years, we finally come to a place of acceptance. But boy, we're still pissed. Because it's been going on for a very long time. And a lot of people have known that. But now, as we're awakening, we've got to come together in order to be a united front, to change. This is why we want to be change agents. These old ways aren't working. A lot of the rules didn't apply to everybody. And so that's what we're finding out. And so we've got to be willing to look at things differently in order to bring people together, in order to heal these divides, whether that's socioeconomically, racially, gender, all of these things, culture, religion, okay, all of these things are in flux. Everything is being reevaluated. And the people that refuse to evolve are the problem, okay? And as we're awakening, as painful as this is, we are waking up. And thank God we're waking up because I don't want to live in denial. I don't want to live in some illusionary place that's telling me lies and feeding me bullshit. I hate bullshit, by the way. So anyway, so we got Linda here and Kimber, Judy. Judy was at Moon Lodge. We had our Moon Lodge the other night. That was so much fun. And my friend Mary. Hey Mary, how are you? Debbie. Ron. Hey Ron. And Diane. Hi Diane. So anyways, if you guys want to post any questions or awarenesses that you've had, or if you want a little, little something for me as a medium, go ahead and post it on here. Say that you know what you want. But anyway, we're all awakening, and we like to think that we're different, but we're not. So this new year, is an opportunity for us to really step into the power of who we're becoming. But again, the only way to really become is to look at where we've been. So when I look back at my life and I look at all the jobs I've had and I've had all the careers and all the people that I've met, I've seen from this elevated perspective, this spiritual perspective, my soul came here and every single one of these experiences are tools that I now pull out and use for you. Because how can I ever understand you if I don't understand me? Or the reasons why I did the things I did. So this is that self-reflection. This is that, and sometimes we need help doing that. Sometimes we need, a mental health professional. Sometimes we need a spiritual coach. Sometimes we need some program of deprogramming. Okay, that's what recovery is. Recovery is deprogramming, to reprogram. We have to unwind this in order to find a new normal, find a new perspective. And again, we've all had experiences that have made us who we are. Now, the trick is learning from it and not letting it debilitate you, you know. And that's why we need each other. Because if I can survive and thrive with the things that have happened in my life, I know you can do it. And we all need that cheerleader. We all need those people in our lives that see us, that are honest with us, who have integrity, who are leading us to higher, better ways of living and doing and faith. And that's why, the village is so important. So, anyway, what we got going on, friends? Yes, Dolores says your mind has to be open to receive positive power. Right. So when we've been victimized or we're feeling not enough, we set up, that critical voice sets up these blocks to new things because it becomes victimized. And so, like I said, I've been a target of a lot of things. Okay, but I've realized that I was the target of other people's dysfunction. I was just the target. It wasn't personal. They actually do it to anybody who's in their path, okay? And so when I came to heal those things and come to that awareness, because God knows when I was in my lesser place, I've targeted people with my dysfunction. So, coming to a place of being self aware and accountable also creates a level of peace where I don't take it personally anymore. I know who I am. And once you have gone through your bag of stuff and taken ownership for all of it, then we can start creating new things with better quality, better integrity, better people surrounding us. We're not hanging out with, you know, the wrong people anymore. So and we're not aligning with the wrong situations either. Debbie says, any messages for me? Seems to be a sad time, even though the magic of the holiday should make me happy. So here's how it works, Debbie. People. That's why these holy days or these holidays um, all happen around solstice. So solstice is December 21st. That's the shift for the world to go from fall, autumn into winter. Okay? So if you think about animals and nature, everything looks like it's dead. Okay? Everything goes into hibernation. So all the living things on top of the world start to go into caves or underground, and that's where they rest. Okay, this is a time of rest. It's a time of refueling ourselves. It's a time of processing where we've been. I feel the same way about birthdays. When we make these full circle rotations, we're coming up a level in a spiral actually. We're not coming full circle. We're coming in a spiral up one level. We're always evolving up, but we don't stop and we don't reflect. This is a natural time of rest and reflection. Okay. And this is why we want to be joyful and we want to be happy. But some of this is also about death and it's about letting go and it's about processing the good and bad things that have happened. But we do and we don't. We should come together and celebrate those victories. Come together and celebrate these changes of season in a joyful way. And it's it's something that we practice all the time. I practice all the time is reflecting and being joyful um, and again, we've had a lot of things to grieve this year. We've had a lot of experiences that aren't normal, not usual. Okay. And that's why that word normal is so relative. Okay. We've experienced so many upheavals, whether it's death of people in our lives, death of ideas or things that we thought were happening and finding out the truth that things weren't happening the way we thought they were. We're all in denial on some level. So this time of year is a time of rest and reflection. So we're supposed to go into that cave, kind of like a bear. We go into the cave to digest and look at where we've been. And then what do we really want to create in this quiet time where that we're going to bring out in spring? See, spring is about bringing out things, something new into the physical world. So this is why okay, collectively as people, aren't operating cyclically anymore. Our indigenous peoples, wherever we come from, okay, our indigenous peoples had to rely on the season. So you couldn't grow food in the winter. You had to learn how to store food and process it in the summer and the fall in the harvest time. And then we put up those storage for the winter to survive the winter time. But we've gotten so far away from that because our world and culture has us working just as hard in the winter as we do in the spring and summer. And so that's where we need to all find a more cyclical way of living so that we're working smarter, not harder. Okay, winter is a time of reflection, and this is a time of hibernation. So this is where in the fall we clean out our cave. We start getting our cave, preparing it for this time. But having these holidays and these celebrations during this time of the year, if you think about Christmas and you think about solstice and you think about all Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all these holidays, that happen around this shift of season, they're all about reflection. They're all about peace. They're all about caring for people. We're going into a winter time, and there's people that don't have enough, who aren't prepared for winter, and so we feel more giving, more generous during this time. And and so again, when we look at the actual, not the commercialized version of what the holidays should be, I think that's the part that disappoints us. Is this, I've never been in a place where I've actually been able to afford to buy, useless stuff for people. I've usually made gifts. When I had the herb store, I was always making things. And, those gifts mean so much more, I think. So, we have to get more creative. But again, the commercialism of the holidays has really cheapened it. And so when we look back at what these holidays are really for, they're really about peace, and they're about faith, and they're about reflecting. And it's like, so who are we going to become in the spring? Who do we want to be? So this is a natural time to let go. It's a natural time to release things in gratitude for all the experience we've had, lesser and greater, so that we can really start evolving and becoming, more authentic. That's how I see it. So I don't know if that answered your question. Rachel says, I need some happy thoughts and prayers as my little one has COVID, hoping the worst of it is over and she's on the mend now. Well, we're going to send off a prayer for anybody who's out there struggling with COVID. Even people who are vaccinated are in these breakthrough cases. This is why, guys, I'm not a belonger, okay, but I'm telling you, we have to get accountable to ourselves and our fellow man, okay? Little kids cannot get vaccinated, little bitty ones, okay? And so when we are doing the right thing, it's doing the right thing because little people are being affected. People, elderly people, everybody's being affected. And a lot of us don't realize how much our choices are affecting other people, okay? And so please do the right thing, get accountable, and get vaccinated, okay? This is not hard. And everybody's making this such a big deal about their rights, okay? Well, with rights come great responsibilities, people. As a leader, the choices I make affect a lot of people, and I have to be conscious of who I am and the choices I make because people are looking to me to be a leader, okay? And like I said, with rights come great responsibilities. And if you're not willing to um, do this for yourself, do it for someone else. It's just really exposing a level of selfishness in this world, because what people are saying is, I don't really care about other people. That's how I see it, okay? So you can bang the drum on your rights all you want, but your rights are affecting other people, okay? That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay, when your lack of self-awareness is affecting other people and causing them possible death, that's a problem. Okay, sorry to get on my soapbox, Rachel, but I'm just saying, I'm sorry that your little one is sick. And that's it. We've got these very vulnerable people that can't do the right thing, so we have to do, as adults, the right thing for them. And, that's the challenge that we're facing. So let's send a little prayer up for Rachel's baby, because this is it's so difficult. But thank God kids are resilient. And, and again, I'm hoping that, our medical community is figuring this thing out. But the bigger choices that we make are going to help them or hinder them. And so let's be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So, Rachel, I'm sorry your little one's sick, and I hope they get better really soon. And keep yourself well, okay? So wash your hands, and, my favorite product is Odoban. Poor Jared has had now two situations where he's been exposed to COVID in his own house. And so the first time, he never got it. Thank God. So I'm telling you, spraying down things, washing your hands, just washing your hands well. I mean, there's a lot of preventative. Wearing a mask. I wear a mask in the grocery store. I've had every vaccine out there. I've had the booster and all of that. But again, I don't want to affect children. I don't want other people's lack of awareness to affect me and me take it to vulnerable populations that I go into situations with. So, yeah, so let's all just do the right thing. Hi, Gabrielle. Audria. Well, sometimes when we're experiencing, so Gabrielle says, need some happy thoughts and prayers. Well, sometimes the things that we're facing or the things we're experiencing, if we could shift it to a lesson. So, what are we supposed to learn from this? What have we learned about ourselves? What have we learned about someone else? And what are we going to do now? So, this is where we learn to speak up, we set boundaries. If you watch some of my previous videos, we talk about how to process those things. A lot of the classes that I have coming up, like Stepping on the Path, Karen of the Empath, once you understand how to process this and make better, different choices, sometimes the universe turns up the heat and makes it uncomfortable, so we'll jump or leap or change. So they're not doing it to scare you, they're doing it to wake you up. So, yes, we're always sending happy thoughts and prayers, but I don't want to just, I don't sit here and go, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm fine. It's okay to acknowledge that things aren't okay. Okay, we got that. I get it. And so if you need help, just give me a call, and we'll give you a new perspective on it. So, yes, we're definitely sending you happy thoughts and prayers. But we're all mitigating some really difficult things right now. Hey, Amanda, any messages for me tonight? Hold on. Sometimes it's easier to notice what other people should be doing rather than noticing what we should be doing. So I feel like you're trying to micromanage a grown person, okay, like your mother or somebody, a woman. Um, I've had this convo before, okay? I'm a grown woman, okay? I have had a lifetime full of experiences that you can't even imagine. And so the choices I make look super risky, but girl, I got this. I know what I'm doing, okay? So you being only whatever age you are, 20, 30, you really don't know what I need as a 60-year-old woman. I've done it. I've checked the boxes. I've bought the house, had the kid, got married, got divorced, had the career. I did all those things. And now I choose way better, way different. And so my way isn't going to work for you. And so watching other people run with scissors or make choices, I feel like you're being distracted by other people's kind of karmic lessons right now. So they're telling you mind your own business. Go work on yourself and don't trust me. They're fine. Hi, Gabrielle. So she says, any love messages for me? I am single. Okay, that is such a loaded question. I am not that kind of psychic, okay? So I always say, we don't interview well. We have not been taught how to date. We have not been taught to love ourselves and to nurture ourselves and to be our own partner. Because I say it's kind of like having this, you're creating this buffet, okay? And you're working hard at learning how to cook and baking all these things and making all this great food and you're laying out this buffet and we're so lonely for somebody to come eat with us that we're willing to let anybody show up who shows up with their fork and knife, okay? Here's where I'm at. If you don't bring a dish, okay, you can't eat at my buffet, all right? So we haven't been taught how to date. So just so you know, I teach a whole class on this. It's called Defining Our Relationships. And I would highly recommend you take it. Because we have to see when your need to be loved or to be not be alone or sexually, whatever, that when we're in need, we're not gonna be a good picker. Okay, we're filling our need with almost anybody or anything that comes down that conveyor belt of life. Okay, we got to get more selective, and when we're filling our own needs, we're not going to be out there so hungry, so thirsty, and we're going to be able to discern people and interview them better before we allow them to the next step into our life. Okay, so yes, we all have or want love in our life, but not at the price of compromising ourselves. Okay, so again, where do good people hang out? I mean, this is what this whole class is about. Okay, so I would highly recommend you take it, but um, you know, what do you want? What does that look like? And we've got to be more discerning. We got to tell the universe what we're willing to accept and what we're not. So if you look back at your other relationships that you've had, what was the thing you overlooked? Sometimes we're in a big hurry. Trust me, girl, dating does not involve a U-Haul, okay? Dating is an interview, and sometimes just talking to somebody for 15 minutes gives you already an understanding of who they are. But my need, I fill my own needs, all of them, and I am not out there thirsty for that. Like I said, I've made choices. I've invited people in. It took me like 15 years to uninvite them, okay, and get the lesson out of it. But again, love is a wonderful thing, but we have to love ourselves and know that we're loved. Okay, I love myself. I don't allow bad people in my life. I set boundaries. I speak clearly. I'm not ever lonely, okay, in that way. And again, where do you look for quality people? So that's the class. I would highly recommend you take it. But I'm just saying, what I feel like for you, Gabrielle, is your need is sometimes overlooking some character defects. Okay? So when you stop feeling the need to look for somebody, organically the universe starts bringing us the right thing. But you can't keep going to the same places looking for those things. We got to find a better way for you to look for people, to meet people. You're so welcome, friend. And you want to join our women's our Moon Lodge, okay? Our circle is open to everybody, not just women. It's the feminine aspect of spirituality, and everybody has a female and male side. And so the intuitive side of who we are is, and the emotional side of who we are is the more feminine aspect. And so it's open to anybody. And it's a wonderful group. So if you get a chance, it's called A Village Moon Lodge, and we get together on the new moon. Hey, Karen, I miss you already too. Oh my God, getting together with people that are like mind and like you. Oh my God, it's so much fun. Yes, please still wear your masks out there, guys. I wear my mask going into the grocery store, into anywhere. And I use hand sanitizer in the car from touching knobs and you know, just do it. I mean, it's really not hard. I've been cleaning like crazy. We are vaccinated, but she's 7 and the vaccine just came available. No, it wasn't enough. We got to get them both. And yeah, it's a good thing. It's not a vaccination. It's actually it's not like being injected with a virus like most vaccines, like measles or mumps or those things. This is a protein blocker. It's a much different. It's not really a vaccine. It's kind of like something that helps boost our protection against. It's kind of like something that helps boost our protection against this particular thing. So anyway, oh, I know. So Rachel, Odoban. Okay, I bought a gallon of it, and you just fill your spray bottle and dilute it. I I spray down bathroom. I mop the floor with it. It smells wonderful. It doesn't smell like Clorox cleanup and all that other stuff. That stuff is awful for you. Um, Odoban can actually kill HIV straight. Like this stuff is amazing. They use it in hospitals, and I buy the eucalyptus one. It doesn't smell like eucalyptus. It's got a great scent. But Odoban, I highly recommend it, guys. I mean, I make sure I spray down our shoes when we come home from places. The mats in front of the door. All of those things. That's the stuff that we should be doing that anyway. I haven't had a cold in like 20 years. Yes, and wash your masks. So I use a neti pot. So if I'm out and about, okay, and I'm wearing my mask, okay, I use a neti pot like twice a day because I have terrible allergies, and I just use plain salt water. And you can buy the neti pot in Walgreens. Okay, I don't use those packets that come with it. I just use plain water, plain salt. Okay, I just put a teaspoon of salt in like a big gulp, like a big cup of water. And once I make that light saline solution, and you put that in your nose, and it comes out the other side, and it actually lowers your incidence of sinus infection by 80%. Now that we're in the heat and we have all this, dust blowing around, I use that neti pot probably 2 or 3 times a day. It can hurt you, okay, and it helps condition your sinuses and keep them from cracking and letting virus and infection in. So a neti pot. Now I'm an herbalist. Okay, I owned an urban tea store for a very long time. Using these naturopathic things rather than it helps with allergies. It helps with all these wonderful things. So if you guys don't have one, get a Neti Pot, and you should be using it before you go to bed every night, or when you get home from somewhere, rinse it out, and it's like a bath for your head. It feels so good. So yes, wash your masks and make sure that you yeah, think about hydrating. You want to stay hydrated. Most sinus infections are from being dehydrated. And so the salt water does not burn when you put it in your nose because our sinuses are saline. You know, our tears are salty. And so it helps just keep that condition so that you're not prone to infection. Amanda says, that's hilarious. I'm going to have to think about who I'm trying to micromanage. Okay, this is funny. So what popped in my head was when my son was trying to micromanage me. You know, Jared will be like, "Mom, you know, you can't do that." I'm like, "Dude, okay, I made it 36 years without you, and I can make it the next 36. Okay, I got this." And so from his perspective, what I do looks risky, or he's afraid I'm going to die or lose me, or whatever, you know, or just thinks he knows more than I do. Guess what? Hate to break it to you, I know more than you. I've probably forgot more than you'll ever know. Okay, and so yeah, it's very funny. He actually also has me on GPS. He has his thumbprint in my phone. He has his own fingerprint in my phone, and he put me on GPS. So he knows where I'm at. Not that he micromanages me like that, but it's just funny because as you know, our children, you know, don't think that we've had a life. Okay, I had a lot of life before you showed up, and I've learned a lot from it too. So I don't know who you're micromanaging, Amanda, but it feels like a parent or somebody older than you, and you need to go get a hobby and work on your own journey. Don't worry about them. Yeah, Gabriel, that's a great class. I think you'd love it. Yeah, don't settle. Yeah, but manifesting, we're manifesting all the time. You know, every thought is manifestation. So you want to focus on scary things, that'll show up. You want to focus on good things, those happen too. But just because we can manifest it doesn't mean we're ready for it. Okay? So, yeah, we're manifesting all the time. But you can't, you know, that's kind of manipulation. The universe gives you what you're ready for. Okay? So manifesting is about you just worry about you and you start working your side of the road and start, you know, trying new things on and start embracing new stuff. And guess what? The universe just sees that you're ready and it just appears. I never go out. Okay. Do you really think that the universe is going to like ding dong your doorbell? You know, it's going to be like the pizza guy. Okay. You gotta leave your house in order to meet people. So anyway, so join us on some things and maybe go volunteer somewhere. Okay, that's where you meet better quality people. You know, is being engaged in things and activities that interest you. You know, you want people that are forward thinking. You know, involved in community or involved in nice things. So anyway, oh my God, that's so funny. Well, you'll have to call me and have a session. Right now they're $80 for an hour, and it's amazing. Okay, you end up feeling so empowered. And if I have any testimonies, anybody wants to give a testimony on here, you leave there feeling like you know what the fuck you're doing because you know the universe has your back and you know who's helping you. How do I heal and rise for the new year? Okay, that's a loaded question, Claire. Okay. Um, Again, this is a time of reflection. And so, any of the classes that we're doing, make sure you take those because giving us a game plan is having, you know, again, we can't go forward if we haven't looked at where we're at. And we have to work through the emotion and let go. Thank you for that experience, teacher, but I've learned from that and I don't want another slice of pie. Okay, thank you. So that's what we have to do. We have to look back in gratitude. We have to process what we're feeling and we have to let go. We have to have a funeral for it. And so that's the process. And then starting to do new things and feeling more confident and encouraging, you know, hanging out with people who encourage you. You're doing all the right things, Claire. I want to take Gabriel under my wing. I'm the happiest single girl. Oh, that's so funny. Kristen, I love you. Okay. You're so funny. But yeah, once we start to really appreciate the hard work that I've done for myself, I'm really very selective about who I let in my life. Okay. Really, because like I said, I've had, you know, I mean, this is probably TMI. Okay. But I've had a lot of situations for all the wrong reasons, okay? I've had more sex than I could shake a stick at, okay? But none of it was really all that, okay? And I wasn't doing it because of, connecting with somebody. It was about compromising myself to get a short period of time where I felt loved, okay? That was my dysfunctional thinking. That was my insecurity, okay? And again, that's not why we partner with people. We never partner with people out of need. That's codependent behavior. Okay, that's not really about them. That was for me. That's kind of selfish. So when I started feeling my own needs and getting confident, I got excited about all the new things that I can do for me by me. I mean that's what we're talking about here. And so I want somebody who's an accoutrement to that. I want somebody that complements my life. Okay, I want somebody who's forward thinking, who's spiritual, who's a warrior, who has been places, who's not afraid to try new things, who's, I this is what I am and this is what I put out to the universe. I want somebody who's spontaneous. I want somebody who's fun, who has a sense of humor, who can laugh, who's not afraid to be an advocate, not somebody who's afraid to not take a stand. That's the stuff I'm looking for. I'm looking for the qualities of what I am, and somebody to complement my life. You know, complement it. It's like earrings. It's an accoutrement. I don't need them, but it's nice when you have them. But I'm not going to, put on shitty earrings just because I don't want my ears to be naked. Okay. So yeah, that's what we don't do. We don't discern people, and our need is like being hungry and eating the hot dog that comes down the conveyor belt. We really want steak, but we settle for hot dogs. Okay. Well, guess what? Those aren't good for you, and they're not satisfying. Okay. And meanwhile, we're not even cooking for ourselves. And so that's what we need to do. Hey, Bridget. Well, like I said, it takes a village, Kristen. And again, we have sisters and mothers and brothers and fathers and all these wonderful people in our village who who aren't like the people you come from. Our families of origin aren't always functional. Okay? And so whenever we join collectives like, this is what recovery is, you're finding a new people to align with who think like you, who are encouraging and supportive. And so I have a lot of folks in my life that I call family, but we're not biologically related. Not everyone in my family of origin was healthy. And so I seek out healthier relationships, and I've built very family relationships with people that I'm not biologically related to. So that's the village concept, because you can't learn everything from two people. We live in these isolated nuclear families, and we haven't always been exposed to other kinds of people. And that's why our world is so isolated right now, because people are afraid of each other. So that's why it takes a village. And that's why I named it that, by the way. Okay, Judy, you're so funny. Judy, we're back to the neti pot. I'm afraid that stuff would go in my ears. Okay, I should do a tutorial on how to actually, if you go on YouTube and look at how to use a neti pot, okay? So what happens is you lean forward and it looks like a genie pot, and you put it in one nostril, and when you lean forward, it comes out the other nostril. Now if you lean back, it'll go down your throat, but it won't go in your ears. And then you blow gently, and it starts loosening all that up. I love it. I taught Jared how to use a neti pot when he was like 5. Okay, he hated it, but he knows it works, and he still uses it. He's 25 years old. Anyway, you can get Odoban, Rachel, at Home Depot. They have it by the gallon. I know you can't leave the house. If you want, maybe we can all bring you what you need. But yes, Odoban by the gallon. It's amazing. Yeah, it's one thing to, like I said, Gabrielle, it's one thing to manifest and journal, but maybe if you just take that off your radar and start getting a life and going out and doing things that you enjoy, that's where you're going to meet people. Okay, that's where you're going to meet people. Is like I said, I think volunteerism is a wonderful way to meet socially conscious, nice folks. You know, just saying. Hey, Debbie Marks. Oh my God, you're so funny. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about? So the new year and new you. Okay, let's make 2022 the year. Now that we've had all this upheaval, all this chaos, all these people are getting outed because they're awful and they are not thinking about other people. Okay, they've been keeping people oppressed for greed. They don't give a shit about other people. Okay, and we're all waking up to that, going, "Oh my God, how long has this been going on?" The whole fucking time. Okay, for people like me who've been out in this world, doing this, you know, that's how it works. Hold on one second. Hello. I'm live. You wanna say hi to everybody? Oh, okay. All right, bye. That was Jared. Oh, that's funny. He didn't want to say hello to everybody. So anyway, so that's what's happening is our world is awakening. We've been so separate from each other. Then COVID hit, and then we really got separate. So that's what's happening. The world is awakening. So new year, new you. Now that we have all this new insight, now that we have I mean, people have been showing their true colors. Okay, and I'm good at setting boundaries in my life. Okay, with the people that I interact with and hang out with in my personal life. Okay, and am a beacon for change and for people to get their shit together. Okay, and I have no trouble calling people out who need it. In the world. And so, like I said, this is separating, people who are doing the wrong thing, who've been, deceiving and lying to folks. And, like I said, I've known this has been going on for a long, long, long time. Okay, because I've done social advocacy for over 30 years. Even when I was in corporate, I was part of the literacy coalition. I would go tutor kids on the weekends in the inner city. I mean, I've always been socially active that way, and so I know that this has been going on. But again, people have been living in this la la land, and now people who are waking up going, "Wow, how long has this been going on?" The whole fucking time. This is why people are pissed because nobody's been hearing them. Nobody's been doing anything about it. And now the inmates are running the asylum, okay? And they've always been. And so now we're all waking up and now we're like, oh my God, like how long has this been going on? All the whole time. So welcome to you're late to the party, but what are we going to do? So we're all evolving, guys, okay? And the universe is creating this upheaval to show us the truth. The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Because nothing's worse than realizing you've been deceived your whole life about certain things. And this is why people don't want to wake up. They don't want to see that this has been going on because it would unravel their entire belief structure. Okay? And they find out that they were ignorant. Okay, that is awful. Waking up and realizing you're the problem or you're ignorant or you've given license to stuff is an awful day. Okay, trust me. That's what awakening is, guys, is waking up and realizing you're the problem. Okay? And so that's where we're at in our world. Our entire world is having this awakening. So while the inmates are out there, people are running around with their hair on fire, what are we doing? Okay, don't worry about them. Let's worry about you because if enough of us sit with our stuff, get empowered, and become those spiritual warriors, those spiritual teachers, those leaders out in the world, that's what we're doing. Is we're grooming you guys for greatness. And sometimes the most awful beginnings are what make the greatest leaders. Okay? Because how can we ever have compassion for other people if we don't heal our own stuff? It's what connects us to each other. Our pain is and the dysfunction in our world is why I lead. This is why I advocate. This is why I champion people. This is why I speak up because there was a time in my life where I didn't have a voice. Okay? And now I don't give a shit. Okay? I say whatever the hell comes, in here comes out here. Okay? I am not afraid. There's nothing to fear. And again, somebody's got to say something. Somebody's got to be that one, and that one is me, and that one is you. So let's encourage each other. Let's make this world a better place. Let's leave it better than we found it. And I love you all. Thank you for being part of my village. And again, how can we be spiritual people and have these spiritual concepts and then not do good works out in the world? You know, like I said, this spiritual life is about walking it, not just talking it. You can buy all the crystals in the world. You can talk to dead people all damn day long. But if we're not taking that spiritual insight and bringing it into this physical world, what's the point? I'm a very pragmatic spiritualist. The whole point of me talking to the other side is to get their insights so that I live better, so that I show up in the right places, and that I can help you guys heal this human crap that you've been taught by broken ass humans who've treated you shitty. Okay? That's what makes a leader is adversity. Have you ever I wouldn't want somebody to lead who hasn't been there, who's never done my job, who's never stood in my shoes. Okay? That's why I love people who have worked their way up to leadership. Not just handed it to them because their daddy was the leader. So here you go, son, who doesn't have a fucking clue as to how to do my job or to be truly a leader by example. So again, this is why it's about respect. And so I love you guys. I'm so grateful that you follow me, that you're part of my village. But this year, 2022, we are going to come out bigger, stronger, faster, and more connected. I mean, we can't let these things stop us. And there are ways to stay out there without being out there. Okay, that's why we got to stay connected. And this is why we have to, uh, network with each other. So if you have anybody that's in your village that needs insight, send them my way. Like I said, we've got classes, we've got get-togethers. Just so you guys know, I'm going to be putting some get-togethers or community events that we can do virtually otherwise. I want to start doing like a Christmas card giveaway where we're doing Christmas cards and then you guys can drop them off at like elder care facilities or sober living facilities. I want to get together on a day and just write out those cards and come together as a community and let's do some nice things for some folks out there. And yeah, throw me your ideas if you guys have any questions or things you want to do that I can help you with. I know a lot of people who are in nonprofit work. And so I will be contacting and getting in touch with them, and we're going to be doing some live feeds with us talking about that stuff. So I'm looking forward to those things coming in the future. So get involved, get invested. There's ways to be out there without being out there, but it does take a village. And I'm so grateful for you guys to be part of my village and listening to me tonight. And I hope you're inspired. And this would be a great time to get some coaching. Coaching is only you buy 3 sessions, it's $60. It's $180. This is something to ask for Christmas. Okay, if you have a partner or your kids or friends, this is a wonderful thing to give for each other because we schedule those coachings once a month or every 2 weeks, depending on what we're working through, and that's to help you really seriously create that game plan. So I'm looking forward to hitting the road running in the spring here, guys. But let's use this time of winter to really come together and learn and process and reflect. And like I said, let's help some folks out. So I'm all about it. So thank you so much. I hope you guys have a really great evening. And if you have any questions, just give me a call. Again, my website is mariannegoldweber.com. All of my information is on there. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much. Have a great night. Keep the peace.